Up your... To keep your track state-of-the-art and a constant tourist attraction, add some goals and checkpoints to keep up the interest. They're ideal for inventing different types of races and game modes, and act as visual markers which become activated when a player touches them. You find your goals and checkpoints under Gameplay Kit in the Tools bag. Goals, for example, can be used to direct racers to a certain point along your track. You select and move a goal like any other object, and a firm but fair prod of the action button sees it placed in your level. There's some neat goal tweaks to faff with, such as how it looks, if it turns on or off when activated, and whether or not the goal acts as a respawn point. Checkpoints are similar to goals, but have a higher faff factor, as you can do more with them. Say you want checkpoints to be activated and triggered in sequence, like in a waypoint race. Well, that's entirely doable. You'll note they have one power input and one output that you can hook up to logic and other gadgets. A handy feature, I would imagine. A checkpoint's tweak menu boasts other functions, like whether or not it acts as a spawn point, or how much of a score the player receives when they activate it. Even who gets the points. You can mess with the visuals and input actions too. It's a faffer's delight. There's 3 types of spawn points, and this is the first. Basically, if you suffer a post-living situation in a game, you're reborn here. Spawn points really are the saucer beneath your level's teacup. Indeed, you can't save your level unless you have at least one. All carts in your game will begin at a spawn point. Every cart needs its own spawn point. It's the law. So if you create, I don't know, an 8-cart race, you must have 8 spawn points. And in keeping with that law, any logic or gadgets placed on a spawn point will be applied to the cart that spawns there. This will govern how the carts behave in gameplay. Whilst spawn points are automatically added to your level, respawn points need to be installed manually. They determine where a player will reappear if they purchase land for the purposes of agriculture. You know, buy the farm, get smushed. They only function during gameplay. If cinematic antics are your thing, then might we recommend some movie spawn points? Capturing magic moments is a doddle, as any logic or gadgets placed on a movie spawn point is automatically applied to the cart that spawns there during your pre-race or post-race movie. It's very clever. It shuts down when gameplay commences. No sense in wasting film. Little Big Planet carts come with a dazzling array of semi-harmless weaponry as standard. But did you know you can turn just about any object you come across into a weapon too? The sillier the better, as this is Little Big Planet and fun and frolics are much in evidence. How about a heat-seeking monkey weapon? A heat-seeking monkey with a rainbow coming out of its bottom. Oh, imagine that in your arsenal. To make one, simply put a weaponizer on a monkey and save it to My Objects. Next, load the monkey into a weapon pickup and it's primed for action. There's 4 different weaponizers to make use of, so just let your imagination go loopy-loo, why don't you? The deliciously informative Little Big Planet Gadget Spotter's Guide lists 5 different types of motor. It says motors available are the piston, the hinge, the rotate motor, the look-at motor, and the path follower motor. Ooh. They're ideal for attaching to objects you'd like to set in motion and can be gawped at in the Gadgets page of the tools bag in the poppet. We really should check them out while we're here, folks. Let's see what the piston motor does. The book says the piston moves an object in a straight line. Once you place the piston in your level, you will be able to see a preview of its movement path. Hey, let's attach a piston to this sardine can to make it into a stomper. We'll first need to rotate it so that it moves vertically instead of horizontally. Select the piston with the poppet cursor and use the 3D rotate option. Rotate the piston so that its movement path points up. Now select its connector with the poppet cursor and select the sardine can. Press the action button to confirm and a rod will appear between the object and the motor, indicating the connection is successful. To adjust the piston's power and distance, press the menu button to open up the tweak menu. Lots to play with here, such as the amount of time it takes to complete its movement, the length of its path, or whether or not it pauses once it's reached the end of its trajectory. Hey, the guide also says you can hook up multiple objects to one motor. We could have an entire school of stomper sardine cans. I don't know what we'd teach them, though. If you'd like an object to swing back and forth, then we recommend a hinge motor. A nice set of opening and closing gates, for example. Select the hinge from the tools bag in the poppet, and then attach it to this fence. Think on, though, an object's pivot, i.e. the point at which it rotates, relies completely on where you place the hinge motor. For instance, if you place the hinge in the middle of this fence, it will swing back and forth from its centre. If you place the hinge at one of its ends, then the fence will open and close in a big arc, rather like my garden gate before it was stolen. I'm sure someone fenced it. You adjust the angle of a hinge, its arc, and its speed in the tweak menu. You can also decide whether or not it pauses, and which direction it moves in, clockwise, counterclockwise. The list is ended. So, what do rotate motors do, I hear you ask? Well, they rotate, strange as it seems, and will do the same to any objects they're attached to. Your mind is spinning with the possibilities right now, isn't it? Select the rotate motor from the tools bag in the poppet and attach it to Mr. Garstang Tweddle's bow tie. He's a penguin and my friend. The rotate motor's placement determines the point from which the object will rotate. Place the motor right in the middle of the bow tie and it will spin around its centre. He'll like that. Very centred chap is Mr. Garstang Tweddle. You can adjust the rotate motor's speed and direction in which it spins by opening up its tweak menu, or beak menu in Mr. Garstang Tweddle's case. He's a bird, you see. Well, you had to be there. Let's take a look at the look-at motor. It rotates the object it's attached to so that it is always pointing at a specific target. Clever, eh? This arrow, for example. To make it point at you, open the tools bag from the poppet and select a look-at motor on the gadgets page, just there. You can tell which direction the object will look by looking at the direction the motor arrow points. Also, the placement of the look-at motor determines the point at which the object will rotate. Important stuff. Attach the motor to the geopaint arrow and rotate the motor using the directional buttons. Ensure the motor's arrow points in the same direction as the geopaint arrow. Next, move the arrow so that the look-at motor sits right in the middle of it. Okay, so now when you drive up to the arrow, it'll point at you and you'll know it's definitely you driving. Are you a highly motivated person? If not, you could always fit yourself with a path follower motor. They aren't backwards at coming forwards, I can tell you. They can even get a favourite object moving along your track if you want them to. They're found in the gadgets page of the tools bag, but you'd need to create a path for it to go round first. The Draw Spline tool does this for you, and that's on the first page of your tools bag. To bring the path into existence, simply hold down the Draw Spline button and move the cursor. Magically, the path appears. Release it when you're done. There's an Edit Spline tool, too, so you can perfect your path by putting points where you please, or indeed deleting them, if the whimsy so takes you. Okay, so when you're crazy about your paving, it's time to place the Path Follower motor. The motor will automatically attach itself to the spline like a geek to a rare comic book. The next thing is to get that motor attached to the object you want motivating. To ensure everything's working correctly, we've installed a test drive mode, so you can see it moving. Nifty, eh? A word to the wise. Only ever say nice things about sensors. They can't take criticism and are prone to hissy fits. They're very sensitive. Sensors are brilliant. We love sensors up here in Little Big Planet. They're so useful because if the conditions to which they are tweaked are met, they operate stuff. Wow! They live in the Gadgets page of the tools bag in the poppet, which is an amazingly cool place to be right now. Let's start off with the pressure sensor, which is a pretty darn fine bit of kit as it happens. It detects whether or not a cart is on top of it, like a button, and sends out a signal when pressed. To set it, open your poppet, and in the Object Tweaker section, choose Danger Tweaker. This will set an object on fire when you test drive, which is handy. Attach a button to the input of the Danger Tweaker, and it will only fire up when the button is pressed. Not just fire, it can be tweaked to become visually pleasing illumination or plasma. Gas, even. Fun with pyrotechnics. Just don't tell Mum. Careful, though. When active, the object is dangerous. Don't drive into it. Let someone else do it and enjoy the show. Down there on the old big blue marble, a power-up is a wheat-based cereal with an energy drink instead of milk. Up here in LBP, it's oh so much more. Then some. Consider the Grabinator, a tool so wonderfully power-uppy-ish, it transcends proper words. Found in the Gameplay Kit page in the Tools Bag menu, the Grabinator affords you super-duper strength, making heavy objects seem like unheavy objects. Like the other power-ups, such as the jetpack or grapple hook, you select it and place it in your level when you drive through it. It's an automatic thing. Now, how dynamic are you? Or rather, how dynamic are the objects in your level? Well, there's the question. In order to pick up objects, they'll have to be dynamic and grabbable. Dynamic is just our fancy way of saying something can be manipulated or faffed around with. To make an object dynamic, open up the Object's Tweak menu and turn Dynamic to On. Now it can be thrown about like a rag doll in the hands of a precocious child. You'll also want to make it grabbable, which is a valuable asset in Little Big Planet. To make an object grabbable, you'll need one of those rather useful physics tweakers found in the Gadgets section of the Tools bag. Place one on that cube, and we'll try one out. We can now change its properties, and I don't mean its villas in the south of France. Open the Tweaker's Tweak menu and switch Grabbability to On. This allows you to pick up the cube using the Grabinator by simply getting close to it and pressing the Grab button. The marvels of modern technology, eh? The internet will be in colour one day. Just kidding, that would be witchcraft. So, if you wanted to know when something is being grabbed, for instance in a game of Keep Away, you can use the Grab sensor. You find that under the Sensors section in the Tools bag. Crazy, isn't it?